This is the evolution of the telephone. Most people think that the telephone was a fairly new invention, but it is actually over 120 years old. This invention has changed the way we live, the way we communicate, and the way we see the world today. Most people think that the telegraph was the first phone, but it is not. However, the design of the first phone was based on it. The first real telephone was a tin can phone. It was basically a string attached to the ends of tin cans. It was not high tech, but it was the start of something new. The first electrically powered phone was created in the June of 1875 by Alexander Graham Bell. The first sound to ever come out of it was a loud twang. In the following months, the first voice to ever be heard through it was Bell's. He said, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." The phone that came after this was called the candlestick because of its candle-like shape. This phone was invented in 1892 by Alexander Graham Bell. The user spoke through the phone by speaking into the speaker on the body. The user would hear through the cone that was connected to the body by a wire. The next phone, also invented by Bell, was the desk phone. This replaced the candlestick in 1926. This phone was created in the late 20s to the early 30s. This phone was popular for many decades. Its popularity lasted into the 80s. It used a rotary wheel for more than 40 years, and it eventually became the regular buttons that we know and love today. In the 80s, a man named Dr. Martin Cooper created something never heard of before. He created the first portable phone, or cell phone, as we know today. It made talking to other people much easier and was one of the inventions that made people hopeful for flying cars by 2006. It was the size of a brick and weighed as much as one. In the following decade after the first cell phone, the personal handy phone was created. It was smaller and more compact than its older and larger brother. It also had a new way of communication called text messaging. Some models even had cameras in them. Not only were we able to communicate, we were able to capture moments that are so rare with cameras. We call this the 2G era. In 2002, the cell phone went through its 3G era. These phones had internet capabilities, cameras, and music players built into them. This blurred the line between phones and entertainment systems. We have recently concluded this era in 2010, when Sprint introduced its new 4G phones. During the 3G era, Ericsson, a company from Sweden, invented the Bluetooth. This allowed people to talk without using their hands to hold the phone. The Bluetooth headpiece was positioned in the user's ear. This invention helped the people abide by the hands-free laws while driving, especially in California. In 2008, Apple came out with the iPhone. Even though it was created in the 3G era, it was the basis of all 4G phones. It had a touchscreen built in, and it was also contained many apps that phones had never had before, such as viewing Earth from above to connecting to social networks without the use of computers. 4G phones are the newest cell phones in existence today. Like their predecessor, they contain many apps. However, some 4G phones are now 3D. This was inputted into the phones because of the 3D hype that started in 2009 with the movie Avatar. We have recently improved the video phone. This phone allows us to see our caller and have eye-to-eye conversations with them. This was once a dream in the 1950s and became a reality in 2010. The most notable use of this technology was Apple's new FaceTime. This idea has been used in many cartoons and sci-fi media around the world. In the possible future, we might have new phones with even more capabilities, such as holographic displays or even monitors built into our brains. This might be in the next 10 years or even in the next 100 years. Over the phone's 136-year run, it has been through many changes and ideas That is probably one of the most changing inventions ever created on this earth.